the
Yeah.
Monetary Authority of Singapore has called out certain areas of security, right?
Hmm.
Specifically in their regulation, right? But
Yeah.
why are they
Yeah.
calling out these things and not everything else? Give
Yeah.
us a
Yeah.
little
So
insight
as
into why these are more important.
Yeah, I think has been evolving for some time now, Krishna. If you look at this technology risk management guideline, right? This is actually published back in 2021, right? This is kind of all before the bad news have started to happen. And as the guideline kind of dictates, right, it's recommending the financial institution to consider, right, if you're using devices to perform activity and work related task, right? You need to have certain level of security, right? So the left-hand side talks about, how does the financial institution protects mobile devices that's used by the employees, right? So I think the very common things we see all the time, device needs to be managed, right? Needs to have certain policies and hardening, and it needs to check for basic security postures, right? And this is where the example you mentioned about phishing, the example we talked about how the attackers are distributing this malware through a unofficial store, right? Because we work with Google, so we know there are apps that continues to be vetted, right? And there's a good standards of security and review. But these bad guys are using WhatsApp to deliver an APK file. For example,
Yeah.
they are using a phishing link, right? To silo a file. Today, even the latest technique we found, right? Because people starting to trust less and less about APK files and apps that you get from messages, right? So now they're delivering
Yeah.
through a Chrome kind of browser, and it's generated
Yeah.
from the Chrome browser, right? So a lot of people think, oh, well, that seems legit because that's related to Google, right? But in fact, those are actually still malware. They just deliver through different mechanism, right? So I think the notion of security is important, to have that hygiene, right? On
Yeah.
the
And
right hand side, though,
that's a great
Krishna.
point,
Yeah,
Pat, right? I think I want to emphasize what you just said.
sure.
Majority of enterprises and banks that we talk to believe that majority of the phishing links or malware comes through business email. They believe they're
Yeah,
covered, but what you just suggested is that that's not true, right?
yeah,
They are getting you not via your business email, but through your WhatsApp, through the browser, through your personal channels, and less through your
absolutely.
corporate channel because they know you're
Yes.
fully exposed. That's a great point. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So on the right hand side, you can see these are controls and security measures, right, for protecting the app, right? So I think none of these are new to a lot of the financial institution, and in fact, I think some of them will say, "Hey, I've done all these, but I'm still getting scammed." Right? Like why, how is that even possible, right? And that goes back to the technique, right? Because if you stay the same, the attacker is going to find different entry point to come in, right? So I think, but it's very important to note here, right? All these obfuscation, checking the integrity of the app. The integrity is so important, Krishna, because we have seen recently, right? So Singapore government provided some security application, right? It's called Scam Show, right? It's used
Yep.
for anyone who gets a scam phone call, the app will actually checks, right, and then prevent and block those phone calls, right? Unfortunately, that app, right, was then extracted from the public store, and malware and spyware was injected into that app. So and then redistributed to through the channel,
Wow.
right? So when the user gets
Wow.
it, it's actually looks legit. It's a government app. Of course, the sources is a little bit suspicious, right? But the spyware was actually injected so that it allows everything that the user is doing to be monitored by the bad guy, right? And that is then used for fraud and all the bad stuff. And the notion of injecting like malicious code into your application, Krishna, that is a big thing. That's what also being very much exploited, right? Any bank, just imagine any application that people build can actually be tempered and changed, and it might not be yours anymore because you just don't have that ability to secure your application effectively.
Yeah. And that's a great point, Pat, because a lot of people, when we talk about reverse engineering, I
Yeah,
think what gets lost is if I can break into your app and steal all your official logos and colors, that's what
yeah,
allows me to look like a legitimate app. right?
That's right.
Even
That's
before
right.
the code, I think your logo, I can look like you. That's what makes me legit. And and a
Yes.
lot of apps make it so easy to look like
Correct.
them, right? And
Yeah.
then the rest just follows. So no, that's a great point.